After 15 years, my boss thought he could keep me trapped. He was wrong. Background. I previously worked as an office service consultant/technician, a role that involved handling almost anything related to an office environment. Over 21 years ago, I began my career as a service technician, repairing office equipment such as copiers, printers, typewriters, and fax machines. The company I joined was the go-to provider for all office-related needs, including furniture, equipment, and supplies. Since the nearest brand-name office store was a 40-minute drive over a mountain, our services were in high demand. We also offered local service and delivery for all our products. This was before Amazon, so such convenience was a big deal. After 2 years, the company expanded by merging with 2 other local businesses, adding PC repairs, networking, phone systems, and even dial-up internet services. Before the merger, I had already been working with PCs for personal and family needs, but this opportunity allowed me to develop my skills further. My responsibilities grew to include office equipment, PCs, phone systems, and some networking. To streamline services, the company offered service contracts where customers could choose what they wanted covered for a flat monthly, quarterly, or yearly fee. Some opted for copier and printer maintenance while handling PC issues themselves, while others wanted us to manage everything in the office except for the actual electrical wiring. This went on for another 2 years, and eventually a bigger company from a major city 70 miles away wanted in on all the smaller town customers they were missing out on, so they bought out the company I worked at. Basically nothing really changed except the name on the paycheck and who had final say on things. Everything else was business as usual. Now, prior to being bought out, things were run as a local business, and that's how the customers were treated, as local customers. After about a year and a half, the big city bosses felt that since they made big city profits, this should also apply to out local smaller town customers, so they started increasing prices on everything to match big city numbers. This went about as well as you think. Customers started seriously complaining and dropping contracts. The office supplies section was dropped completely due to most folks going to the name brand store over the mountain and still saving money, as well as online ordering really starting to take off. My manager at the time had been the lead tech/service manager since I started and was on good terms with all our customers who had contracts since he maintained/sold them. He hated how things were going and knew it was a matter of time before customers dropped our services due to price hikes. He asked if I would join him as his lead tech if he started his own business, and promised me I'd eventually be service manager as the business expanded. Me being the stupid 20-something idiot I was, I believed him and said yes. So he started his own business and cut ties with big city company. Customers eagerly jumped ship and signed back up with the local guys they had known for years, now back at local prices. The business shifted into focusing on everything office related except supplies. Our line of thinking was we will do anything if the price is right. The boss shifted to sales and furniture while I was left to deal with everything technical. If the customer asked about something and he would say sure thing, let me get you some numbers. Then tell me to figure out the technical side while he'd handle the logistics. Need a security camera system for the local water treatment plant? No problem. He'd figure out the floor plan and how much cable we'd need. I would figure out what hardware was needed, cameras, DVR, wireless points, etc., and how to make it all work. Switching jobs, from a nightmare to the dream. Q angelic chorus ahhhhhhh. I spent around 9 to 10 years working for my manager's new business as the sole technician at Dick's company. Over the years, we tried hiring additional techs, but no one lasted more than a few months due to the overwhelming workload, the vast area we covered, and, well, my boss being, quite frankly, a dick. I was driving an average of 3,000 miles per month and working 50 to 60 hours a week, all while being stuck on a 40-hour salary. When factoring in my extra hours, I was making less than $10 an hour, losing my sanity, getting zero time off, and completely burned out from the job. I finally confronted my boss, requesting a raise that reflected my experience and actual hours worked, along with guaranteed time off where I wouldn't be pestered. He agreed to talk about it, and then conveniently ghosted me every time I tried to follow up. After 2 months of this nonsense, I started job hunting. Luck was on my side when I attended an open house at a local manufacturing plant specializing in medical equipment. As I toured the facility and learned about the technology behind their products, I knew this was where I wanted to be. I applied, and within a week, I got a call back. The recruiter was friendly, and after going through the usual corporate questions, I shared my enthusiasm for their tech and how excited I was to be part of something bigger. My enthusiasm must have resonated because he asked me to hold while he checked something. When he got back on the line, he invited me for an on-site interview in 2 days. My immediate response? Absolutely. The in-person interview went just as well as the phone call. I mentioned that if hired, I'd need at least 2 weeks to properly resign from my current job. At the end of the interview, the lead interviewer shook my hand and said, "I can't officially say this today, but if I were you, I'd put in that 2-week notice. Expect to hear from us by the end of the week with the final details." I was ecstatic. This new job offered hourly pay with overtime, significantly higher wages with a shift differential, 3 weeks of paid vacation, and 10 sick days. For me, this felt like winning the lottery. Story time: compliance. I was a field service tech for a total of 15 years. I've worked on more equipment than I can remember and enjoyed it for the most part. Mainly office equipment, PCs, and networks, but I did have the occasional phone system, camera systems, fire alarms, security doors, badge systems, remote entry systems, and more. Due to the sheer amount of different tech I dealt with, I kept very meticulous notes, made wiring diagrams, recorded master passwords or backdoors to any of the systems I didn't work with on a regular basis, and kept backups of software related to any of the install/operations. I did this with everything unless otherwise specified by the customer, since I was going to be the guy fixing it if things went sideways. I was also in charge of training the customers on the tech. This led to me being a serious jack of all trades and some serious burnout due to being the only tech. I finally got the chance to switch jobs, so I submitted my 2-week notice at my old workplace. This was the general conversation I had with my former boss over the phone. Cast. Dick, my old boss. Me, just me, though I briefly considered introducing myself like Inigo Montoya. "You killed my father. Prepare to die." Dick, "You're quitting? Why didn't you say anything? Are you unhappy with your job?" Me, "I did bring it up, but you kept dismissing me. So yes, I'm unhappy. That's why I'm giving you my 2-week notice." Dick, "There's no way I can hire and train someone to replace you in just 2 weeks. You're my only tech. How am I supposed to take care of my customers?" Me, "Not my problem. You've got 2 weeks to figure something out. Until then, I'll keep doing my job, but after that, I'm gone." Dick, "Let me think about this. I'll get back to you." I roll an internal "no kidding, Sherlock." A week later, he calls me into his office. "Dick, I'm working on hiring a tech. Can you stay a little longer, just until I get someone in?" Me, "No, I'm not delaying my new job. It pays better and has set hours." Dick, "What would it take? Tell me what I need to do to get you to stick around until I have a replacement." Me, "Seriously? Let me think about it. I take about 5 minutes to come up with a plan." Me, "All right, here's the deal. Since my new job is second shift, I'll work for you in the mornings from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. My time starts the moment I leave my house and ends when I get back to town at 2 p.m., so I have time to get to my new job. You'll transfer my company cell number to my personal account since I've used it for all my contacts, both work-related and personal. You'll also pay me hourly at the same rate as my new job, including the shift differential. I get to keep my tool bag and laptop. Any emergencies must be handled within my working hours, and I won't be contacted after hours or on weekends. All I really wanted was the pay and cell number. The number wasn't listed on any of Dick's company sites or paperwork, and I really didn't want to get a new number then have to update all my info I had used it for. I wasn't concerned about the laptop or the tool bag, I was just going for broke to see what I could get away with. Dick, the pay and cell number are fine, but you have to return all company property by end of week including your tools and laptop. You can pick them up daily from the office and return them at end of day. I need access to them in case I need them to fix something. Also, you will sign a non-compete for 3 years once I get the new technician to keep you from servicing my clients. Me, "Okay, deal, but the cell gets transferred by end of day tomorrow. I'll call you in the morning when I get to the cell company." Dick, "Deal." I shook his hand and went about my day. Now I can hear all of you flying to your keyboards to jump into the comments to go, "You idiot. You didn't get it in writing and you are all absolutely correct. I should have gotten all that in writing. I was burnt out, I was tired, I had no more fucks to give." The next day I got the cell number transferred over to my name and set out business as usual. Now at the end of the week I got what should be my last check at the old rate. I turned over my tools and laptop and had a very pleasant weekend. Monday rolls around and I work the hours I said I would, then go to my second job. I do this for the week without issue. Next week kicks off and I ask if there has been any progress on getting a tech. He says yes, they start next week. Okay, I'll start getting the new guy up to speed on our main systems next week then. Friday comes and I notice my check is still at my old rate. It's hourly now and the hours are correct but not the rate. I try to get a hold of Dick but no answer. Office lady says he's out of service till Monday and there's nothing she can do about my check. You can all see where this is heading. Monday arrives, and I meet the new tech before discussing my paycheck with Dick. Me, "So, my paycheck was wrong, and you ghosted me." Dick, "What? No, I didn't ghost you. I was out of town in an area with bad reception. I'll talk to payroll and have them cut you a check for the difference by Friday. Me, sure. Anyway, I'll start training the new guy. Should I take him on any calls with me? Dick, no need. He's already a trained tech, just unfamiliar with our specific equipment. Just walk him through the details, software, networking, programming, and all the usual setup steps. Me, got it. Friday rolls around, and, shockingly, there's no paycheck waiting for me. Cue dramatic dun, done. At that point, I just said, screw it, and went home. I didn't bother calling Dick, I already knew he wouldn't answer. Instead, I turned off my phone and enjoyed my weekend. Come Monday, I slept in until noon, ignored my old job completely, and focused on my new one. I left my phone off the entire day and had a great time. Tuesday morning, I finally turned my phone back on. Unsurprisingly, there were multiple voicemails and texts from Dick, all demanding to know where I was. So, I called him back, and the conversation went like this. Dick, finally. Where the hell have you been the last 2 days? I cut him off immediately. Me, do you have my paycheck? Dick, paycheck? What are you talking about? Me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you know exactly what you did. You screwed me over, just like you have for years. I tried to help you out because I'm a decent person, and you spat in my face. We're done. Lose this number. Dick, we're not done. You still haven't signed the non-compete. Me, are you serious right now? You actually expect me to sign a non-compete after all this? Dick, you will, or I'll sue you for breaching a verbal agreement. I have a recording of our conversation and a witness who heard you agree to sign it. I transferred your cell number and paid you for your time. I upheld my end of the deal. Now, I had no clue if any of that was true. If he had a recording, I was sure it was conveniently edited to only include the part where I agreed to the cell transfer and pay, along with some fabricated agreement to the non-compete. As for his so-called witness, unless someone had been eavesdropping through the office phone, no one else was in the room when we talked. I also didn't know if any of his threats were even legally valid, but I did know one thing: he had sued our previous employer over a verbal agreement, recorded the conversation, and dragged the case out for 2 years before they settled just to get rid of him. Did I want to deal with that nonsense? Hell no. So I sighed and said, fine, leave it at the office. I'll come in to sign it. At that point, I just wanted to be done with this manchild. Story time, the build-up to sweet release. Now you're all probably going, okay, the previous section is the compliance from the title, but where's the malicious part? Oh dear reader, I was never a strong believer in karma, but from what I've heard she can be a cold fickle bitch. And I assure you she does in fact come back to bite you in the ass with poetic justice and a sense of humor. A little over a year after signing the non-compete and being rid of Dick, I was enjoying my new job. I get a phone call from one of the last big customers I did a setup and install for a few months prior to me quitting. The customer, you ask? A women's abuse center that had converted an old building into a safe house for victims. Dick had managed to get the job to redo the interior network, furniture, camera systems, security doors, and the alarm systems. He had also sold them a service contract for the camera, security doors, and alarm systems where we were on call 24/7 for the next 3 years if something went wrong and the site could not remain secure. We had to get it fixed yesterday. This was not a small chunk of change and it was due up front to get the best discount, but the abuse center had government backing, so they got Dick to agree to half up front and then payments after a year and a half. I knew the wording on these contracts because I had to give him worst-case time frames for getting things fixed if shit hit the fan. This will be important later. Now, due to the nature of the client and job, I made sure my cell number had been laminated and I literally glued it to all 3 systems with instructions to call me if they needed anything. The reason they were calling is they had had some personnel changes and needed to change door codes, not real secure if former employees can still access the building. They also wanted to set up remote camera access for new security monitoring purposes, and they needed to know how to do all of this. Now if you read through the entire post, you know I had made some very detailed notes as well as instructions on how to do all of this. A set of all this as well as all the credentials to log into the systems was in a nice secure binder on site. One problem, they couldn't find it. Not to worry, I would have planned ahead and made backups of all that and kept it on my company laptop with approval from the customer, right? If you said yes, you get 5 points. If you're thinking this guy sounds seriously paranoid about this stuff and probably made another copy on maybe a disk or thumb drive, again you would get another 5 points. I always kept a secure thumb drive on my keys and backed up this type of info religiously when I worked on jobs. You may distribute these points to whichever Hogwarts house of your choosing. I informed the client that I was no longer with Dick's company and that they would need to contact him directly for assistance. Then, I wished them a good day and moved on. 2 days later, I get a call from my replacement, asking for help with this exact issue. Now, I didn't want to be a complete jerk, and I knew the abuse center needed this resolved, so I pointed him in the right direction. I explained that the files he was looking for were stored on the company laptop. They were tucked away on the D drive in a folder named Backups. Inside, there should be another folder with the client's name containing all the necessary information. He asked me to hold while he retrieved it. I could hear him rummaging through the laptop bag and booting up the computer. New guy, someone who was clearly not ready to take over my responsibilities. Me, sitting at my desk, facepalming in disbelief. Dick, about to experience major consequences. New guy, alright, I've got it booted up, but I don't see a folder called Backups. It's not in Documents. Is it somewhere else? Me, not in Documents, it's on the D drive. New guy, what drive? Me, oh boy, open my computer. You should see C drive and D drive listed. New guy, oh, okay, there it is. Hang on, a window just popped up. It says please insert disk. Me, confused, I'm sorry, it says what? New guy, it's asking me to insert a disk. Me, are you sure you're clicking on D drive and not E drive? New guy, no, there's only C drive and D drive. At this point, the more tech-savvy readers are probably piecing this together before I did. Me, just to be absolutely sure, there are only 2 drives listed? C drive and D drive, no E drive? New guy, that's right. Me, you didn't, by any chance, reformat the laptop, did you? New guy, no, I don't mess with computers. I only handle copiers and printers. Dick's kid is the one who deals with the PC stuff. Me, oh, can you tell me what the start menu icon looks like? Is it a round logo with 4 colored squares, or is it just 4 plain white squares? New guy, 4 white squares. Why? Me, deep sigh, is Dick in the office? I really need to talk to him. New guy, no, he's out right now. Me, alright. Please have him call me ASAP. New guy, will do. Now Dick's kid, Mini Dick, trust me fitting name, was 15 years old when I quit. I had shown him some troubleshooting stuff and he knew enough to be very dangerous if unsupervised. I mention this because when I turned in the laptop it was using Windows 7, round button, for colors, but now it was Windows 10, for white squares. There was a Windows 10 USB in the laptop bag. I was eventually going to upgrade it once I had made sure all the software I used was compatible. The pit of my stomach knew exactly what happened. Either Dick asked him to do something with the laptop after I turned it in or he took it upon himself to upgrade it to show his dad he could do this stuff. Pick one, but I knew he had deleted the separated partitions I had made on the hard drive to keep the crucial data safe if Windows went tits up and I needed to restore or do a clean install and not have to worry about pulling the data. What Mini Dick had done was nuke the entire drive and all that backed up data was now gone. I get a phone call the next day first thing in the morning. Dick, I was told you need to talk to me? Is this about the abuse center? I told the new guy to handle it and call you. You always kept instructions for all that shit. Just tell him where it is. Me, oh, I already told him where to find the info, but there's a minor problem. It's gone. Dick, what do you mean gone? I know you kept backups. Me, I did, it was on the laptop when I turned it in. It is no longer there. Dick, what the hell do you mean it's no longer there? Did you remote in and delete it? I know you did stuff like that to fix things. You shouldn't have been able to that. I had Mini Dick make sure you couldn't. Me, oh he certainly did that, but he also wiped out all the backup data. Dick, what? Me, I can't say I'm 100% sure that's what happened, but I'm like 99.99% sure that's exactly what happened. Dick, wait, you kept multiple backups, you told me that. That thing you had on your keys, you didn't give me that. Tell you what, you give me that and I won't pursue legal action since you didn't give it to me when you quit. Me, yeah, that's going to be a no from me. Dick, the fuck do you mean no? You have to give me that you didn't turn in company property. I'll sue your ass. Me, first off, the device I had on my keys? That was my personal property, bought and paid for with my money. So no, I didn't have to hand it over when I quit. Second, even if I could have given it to you, I wouldn't have. I destroyed it after leaving for exactly the reason you just proved. I knew that if I kept anything even remotely connected to clients, you'd try to sue me, because that's exactly the kind of manchild you are. And third? The only reason I'm even talking to you right now is to help the abuse center, not because you give a damn. Dick, oh, this is such bullshit. You're lying. Just you wait, I'm gonna... Click. I had no idea how many times he called or texted after that. I just put my phone on silent and enjoyed the rest of my day. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, there's no way you stayed that calm and actually said all that. But trust me, after working for Dick for 9 years, I knew his patterns. I had 2 full days between the abuse center reaching out and the new guy calling me for help. I knew he'd need me if he couldn't find the instructions I'd left behind. There was a ton of technical setup involved, weeks of testing and tweaking to get everything just right for the customer. If he factory reset those systems and defaulted them back to generic settings, well, let's just say he was about to have one hell of a time fixing it. And I had a whole extra day between Dick calling me back and my conversation with the new guy. The entire time, I was sitting there with a raging justice boner, fully aware that I had Dick's nuts locked in a vice grip, and damn, did it feel good. Malice. Best served cold, with a side of mint. Previously on this long-ass post. I signed a non-compete with old Dick Boss who pretty much fucked me over for 10 years and I moved on with my life. Dick Boss had a client that he needed my help with. Dick Boss threatens to sue me if I don't do what he wants. I hang up on Dick Boss and hatch a devious scheme. After hanging up on Dick Boss, I was heartbroken and felt that it was my responsibility. Nay, my duty to contact the abuse center and inform them of the situation. All joking aside, this could have actually put people in danger if not resolved somewhat quickly. I talked with the secretary and asked to speak to her boss. Luckily it was the same woman in charge from when I installed the systems. She knew how much I cared and busted my ass to get things exactly the way they wanted it. Karma equals the big boss lady, and oh, the sweet irony. Me equals the noble hero, just trying to protect the innocent, and maybe get a little payback on my old boss in the process. Dick equals the former boss who royally screwed up. Karma, hello, me, it's been a while. I understand you wanted to discuss the issues with the system you set up for us. Me, I do. Unfortunately, I no longer work for Dick's company. Karma, oh, that's unfortunate. So, if you're not helping us fix the system, why are you calling? Me, I wanted to bring you up to speed on the situation, explain why I can't help, and offer you some insights on possible solutions. I proceed to lay everything out, carefully phrasing it as just my educated guess, purely opinion, offered free of charge. What she does with that information? Totally up to her. I gently suggest that Dick's company likely does not have the credentials or documentation necessary to fix her issues. Of course, I can't say for sure, wink wink. I also mention that if Dick's team lacks the right information, their brilliant solution might be to reset the system entirely. This would not only delay the fix but also wipe out the current setup, forcing them to rely on factory defaults, meaning the system probably won't function as needed. Again, I can't say for sure, nudge nudge. I casually remind her to thoroughly review the service contract for her equipment, as the wording might be very useful. Say no more. I express my regret that I legally can't consult or assist her due to the non-compete clause, because, at the moment, she is still a client of Dick's company. I then offer some purely hypothetical strategies on how she might proceed, based on reviewing a few things and exploring her options. She thanks me for my time and lets me know she's about to be very busy for the next few days. And now, for the real malicious compliance moment. I made sure to emphasize that Karma should really review her service contract, for one very specific reason. The contract clearly stated that if Dick's company failed to resolve a customer's issue within 3 days, they were fully liable for any expenses the customer incurred to work around the problem. This kind of clause was standard in our contracts, though typically written as 2 business days for smaller equipment, like printers or copiers. The idea was that if we couldn't fix something within that time frame, and the client had to outsource the job, we had to cover the cost. But Karma's contract? 3 days. Why? Because the site was operational every single day, and visitors weren't allowed on weekends. And how did I know this? Because when Dick was selling this contract, he had me personally pitch it to the Abuse Center's board, talking up our fast turnaround and worst-case scenario planning. The absolute worst case? A complete system failure. In that situation, our protocol was simple: confirm the equipment was DOA on-site, overnight new units, install, reprogram, and get them back online, usually within 2 days max. And as for the door systems? No real risk there: emergency push bars on the inside, and 2 inner steel doors with physical keys stored off-site for security reasons. In other words, Dick had just walked himself straight into a disaster. Now onto possible situations and solutions. Since they could not remove the old codes and enter in new ones for the personnel changes, this posed a security risk. To remedy this, Karma should hire outside security to be on site until the old codes could be deactivated. If company cannot get the system working soon, then Karma should contact the manufacturer's support line and request an on-site technician to come out and fix it for them. I know what took me a week to do would probably take a certified tech a couple hours at most, since they know the systems inside and out. However, those techs are hellishly expensive, and getting them on site quickly, you'd better get some lube and try to spread your cheeks for that incoming railing. If company cannot fix issues, then why did they sell the service contract to begin with? If they cannot service the equipment, Karma should get the contract cancelled and try to get money back, since Dick's company did not support the products they said they would. 2 days later, I got a call from Dick. Surprisingly, he wasn't threatening right away. Dick, so, I'm in a bit of a bind. I need your help with the abuse center. And what exactly do you want me to do? I signed a non-compete, and I'm sure as hell not working for free. Dick, I've thought about it, and I can hire you as a consultant. That way, you're not competing, you'd be working for me. And how much would this consulting gig pay? Dick, how about $150 a day? $150 a day? That sounds a little cheap. Dick, cheap? That's way more than you're making at your new job. Oh, you misunderstood. I meant cheap for you. Dick, explain. Just a wild guess, but it's probably costing you a lot more than $150 a day to have 24/7 security at the abuse center. Dick, how did you? It was you. I'm going to. Click. The phone rings again. More screaming. Click. A few more calls. I send them straight to voicemail. About 4 hours later, he calls again. Hello? With just a hint of joy in my voice. Dick, silence for about 10 seconds. How much? Well, to be honest, I can't help you. Dick, what? You see, I'd need a clear paper trail, since I don't trust you. That means I'd have to submit a detailed invoice listing exactly what I was consulting for. But unfortunately for you, the very specific non-compete agreement you made me sign states that I cannot provide services to any of your clients for 3 years. So, legally speaking, my hands are tied. Dick, but... good luck with that. Click. Immediately blocked his number and laughed so hard I cried for at least 30 minutes. I don't think I've ever felt that good in my life. Fallout, hazmat suits recommended. A couple of months later, I reached out to the secretary at the abuse center. She was a total gossip and loved drama. She had talked my ear off during the original install, so I figured she'd have the inside scoop. Turns out, Karma had to bring in a manufacturer's on-site technician to completely reset and reconfigure everything. No clue how long it took, but it sure wasn't cheap. Meanwhile, 24/7 security remained on-site until the system was fully restored. Then came the real reckoning. Karma and the board went after Dick for everything: contract payments, incurred expenses, installation fees, equipment costs, even legal fees. According to the secretary, he settled out of court. No exact numbers, but she estimated it was damn close to 6 figures. Later that year, I ran into some secretaries from other businesses I used to service. They had even more juicy details. Apparently, Dick's tech quit, and he ended up selling the entire service side of his business to a company over the mountain. He also sold his local storefront and downsized to a small office near his home, shifting his focus to furniture installations instead. Fast forward to last year, I ran into one of my former bosses, who used to be friends with Dick. Turns out, Dick had packed up and moved to Texas, working at a furniture company. Meanwhile, his wife, or ex, and kids stayed behind. My old boss mentioned her name, but I didn't bother asking about their status. I genuinely didn't care.